The night was silent. The moon cast a pale glow over the valley, where thousands of Midianite soldiers lay sleeping. Campfires flickered, casting eerie shadows on the tents. It was a massive army, too large to count, like locusts covering the land. They had oppressed Israel for 7 long years, stealing their harvests, driving them into hiding, and leaving them weak and afraid. But tonight, something unexpected was about to happen. Up on the hills surrounding the valley stood a small army, only 300 men. They held no swords, no shields, no bows. Instead, in their hands were clay pots, torches, and trumpets, a ridiculous sight to any military strategist. Who fights an army of thousands with nothing but fragile jars and flickering flames? Yet this was exactly what God had commanded. Days earlier, Gideon had been threshing wheat in secret, hiding from the Midianites, when an angel appeared before him and declared, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Judges chapter 6, verse 12. Gideon was stunned. Mighty warrior? He didn't feel like one. Israel was suffering under Midianite rule, and he was just an ordinary man, not a soldier. But God had chosen him. Doubtful, Gideon asked for signs. First, he placed a fleece on the ground and asked God to make it wet with dew while keeping the surrounding ground dry. When God did it, he asked for the reverse. Let the fleece be dry while the ground was wet. And again, God answered. With courage still trembling in his heart, Gideon obeyed. Gideon gathered 32,000 men to fight, but God had other plans. "You have too many men," God said. "If I let you win with this army, Israel will think they won by their own strength. Tell those who are afraid to go home." Immediately 22,000 men left. Gideon was left with only 10,000. But God wasn't done. "There are still too many," he said. "Take them to the water and watch how they drink. Those who lap water like a dog, set aside. Those who kneel to drink, send them home." In the end, only 300 men remained, against an enemy as numerous as the sand on the seashore. It made no sense. This wasn't how battles were fought, but God doesn't need human strength to achieve victory. Now, standing on the hills above the Midianite camp, Gideon gave the signal. At once, 300 men shattered their clay jars, revealing blazing torches inside. They blew their trumpets and shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon," Judges chapter 7, verse 20. The Midianites awoke in terror. To them, it sounded like a massive army was upon them. The glow of hundreds of torches looked like an overwhelming force closing in. Confused and panicked, they grabbed their weapons and turned on each other. Chaos erupted. Men screamed. Shadows danced wildly in the firelight. The Midianite army was no longer fighting Israel. They were fighting themselves. By morning, the enemy was in full retreat. Gideon's men pursued them, and Israel saw a victory that could only be explained by one thing: God had fought for them. This battle wasn't won by military strategy or superior numbers. It was won by faith and obedience. God deliberately reduced Gideon's army to show that victory belongs to him, not human strength. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6. When we trust in our own abilities, we limit what God can do. But when we surrender and step out in faith, even when the odds are against us, God moves in ways we cannot imagine. Are you facing an impossible battle in your life? Are the odds stacked against you? Maybe you feel like Gideon, weak, unqualified, uncertain. But remember, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. God still fights battles today. He still takes small, unlikely people and uses them to accomplish great things. And sometimes he wins victories with the most unexpected weapons, like pots and torches, or faith and obedience. The choice is yours. Will you trust him?